What is good, Oak Life familiar? It is Greg and Chris and Craig back at it again with the roots and branches. And today we will be discussing everything you need to know about meeting in person and worshiping in person. We're not going to be outside this time, so there's some things to detail. So we'll be back in just a second.
Yeah, look, I get crazy when the mic round. No sense of getting hyped now, but I'm
Like, so much time has went by since we've been at the Parkway. I'm about to be at the Parkway again.
It's true. I know, it's crazy.
Feel-
How's that feel?
No, I asked you first. How's it feel, Chris?
Good, man. I'm hearing an echo now. So maybe you mute when I'm talking. Yeah, I'm very excited, but also I think a lot of us had hoped that we'd be a little bit more out of the woods with COVID stuff. But overall, I think like it's looking good. I feel pretty confident in like the good that it will be to be together. I'm anxious to see like what it's like, and we've got a lot of like stuff to figure out. And I think there's kind of this hump of getting over just starting to process that and to do it, to get familiar with it and it to feel safe. But as I've been watching lots of other groups and churches like find ways to do in person and indoors, like I think it'll be good. So yeah, we've got this kind of plan we wanted to share with everybody, but also just kind of name that this is like sort of I wouldn't say an experiment because it's very much like thoughtful, but there's some things that will be like adjusting as needed. We've never done this before, like come out of a pandemic and begun to meet in person again. And so wherever you're at with it, like go at your pace and we'll do our best to find spaces to be together. But given the vaccines and even the levels and what the local health guidelines are allowing, I think it's a good time to go back. And it's been so long. And I know that for so many people, they've desperately missed community. So how are you feeling about it, Greg? We have a couple more weeks and we'll talk through the whole plan in a second and see if there's any questions, but how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, feeling good. How does the mic sound? Does it sound okay?
Sounds better.
Cool. Hold on really quick. Bam, there it is. All right, got it. Had to bring that back. Mixed emotions. Well, not obviously, but for me, mixed emotions in that just that little taste of being in person outdoors at the heist. It's hard to prepare yourself for the emotions of being around people, and energy is very much an aspect of our humanity that many of us haven't had the opportunity to exercise that muscle of spending the energy to be around the people that you love. It is taxing in some ways, but rejuvenating in others, and it's hard to kind of put to words. So the thought of going back to in person is a both and. It's like, oh, this is going to be so cool, and the possibilities of how do we go back to in person in a way that has a brand new perspective, literally getting the opportunity to worship with other people is something that I feel all of us, big church, has taken for granted, right? So going in with kind of the refresh perspective of that, but then also going back in with the hurdles that we didn't have before around safety. It's like, I wish we could just do it the old way because it's more strenuous to do it now. So there's just a lot of nuance. I'm excited to see how it goes. My mind always goes to logistics because if the logistics aren't, tip-top shape, it just makes for a more difficult time to be in the presence of the Spirit and worship. So anyway, very excited, very curious. I think you used the word experiment, and I think that's appropriate. Not that it's not been thoughtful, but we're all doing this again for the first time, kind of. So back for the first time, yeah. It's gonna be good.
Yeah. And it was so good to do the in-person outdoors and get that taste. I mentioned, I think during the talk on that Sunday, that I went to a friend's church and they did all the stuff to make it safe. And it was so good to like pray together, to be together, to see other humans. As much as like these things have been very beneficial, and we'll probably use these going forward. Like how great of a tool is like the internet and ways to stay connected. I think a lot of us are also tired. A lot of us are like ready for something else. So it's going to be good to start going back in person. Speaking of in person, our dear friend, Pastor E, saying what's up. And they've been doing like a once a month in-person service and doing some different things too. So yeah, we are excited to figure this out. So without any further ado, we announced some of this on Sunday, but we'll keep announcing it, communicating it, and try to like just talk about it to normalize it. I do think one of the things that is in a lot of our minds or like our experience or just the place of energy we're in is like, it feels like a big hurdle to go back to something. We've kind of 18 months, like your habits get formed, your expectations get formed, your comfort levels get formed. And so changing that up again is going to be a challenge for a lot of us and a stretch. So, so here's the initial plan. On October 3rd, we will be back at the new Parkway in person. And so we will be fully like in person and indoors. The Parkway as a theater is following a pretty thoughtful health protocol. They are a vaccine only theater. So you have to have proof of vaccine to even go to movies there. And they've updated their ventilation. They've got a bunch of other like cleanliness things that they're doing. And they're excited to have us back too. They're actually the first weekend open is this weekend. So they'll have a few weeks under their belt, like figuring stuff out before we start renting it out on Sunday mornings. So we're glad to be back there. It'll have all the feels, but it'll be good. It'll be good. Meanwhile, we'll also be as integrated with the online community as possible for those who either can't come that Sunday, aren't quite ready yet, or are somewhere else. And so we're going to try to find ways to like use this application to connect people and to interact and share comments and make it as communal as possible. And that piece will be an experiment. I think like each week we'll be trying things because we've never done that. So October 3rd, that's kind of the big announcement. Mark your calendars. And if you do have questions down below, there's that website, oaklifechurch.com/in-person that lists like the dates and the plans. And there's also a spot in there to ask any questions. By the way, if you're watching now, if you're live with us, Greg and I will be talking for like 15 or 20 minutes about the plan. But feel free to drop a question and we'll try to answer it. And even if you don't right away, maybe drop a question in and we can try to get to it later as there's a lot of questions. But yeah, so October 3rd, it's a couple weeks away. It's kind of crazy. Still muted.
Time be scooting super fast. It's like October 3rd is like tomorrow. Oh man,
I know.
Crazy. So should we jump into okay, let's see. We got a little thing from so September still hop on StreamYard asking from a volunteer's perspective. And
Great question.
you are that guy for all the reasons. September is still on StreamYard and services per usual as far as pandemic vibes until October 3rd. So yeah, definitely hop on StreamYard. And for those who can't make it in person, as Chris alluded to, as far as October is concerned, we will still be streaming from the Parkway. So yeah, still hop on. We will be starting service a little later. So 10:10, I think we're going to get into some of those details in a little bit. But yeah, if you're a StreamYard ride or die, then we'll still be StreamYard. So don't worry about it. That's not going nowhere.
Yep. And thanks for being one of the people holding this community together in this time. But yeah, let's get to it. So you can scroll down because that's kind of the intro paragraph. But just to let you all know, we've like been looking at other churches, talking with the leadership team, had some breakout committees to talk through this all. I've been meeting with other like the Parkway and all that stuff. So we've been trying to come up with a plan that is allows us to be in person, but is as safe as possible, especially at first. And so yeah, October 3rd, 10 a.m. back at the new Parkway. We'll be back there every week as we are able. And so if you want to come, sweet. We hope you can come. And the way we're going to do that is there will be an RSVP mechanism that will be on the website and in the email each week and like basically in all our communications. And we're asking that people tell us they're coming in advance. And you can do that by there'll be this RSVP form. We've used a few of these over the last couple months. And the first 70 people who are RSVP will be able to attend. We're capping it at about half attendance to be able to maintain social distancing, safe distancing. I actually don't really like the word social distancing because like I think it's just safe distancing because you can still socialize. It makes it seem like social community is like dangerous. and something we have to like stay away from. And I think that's, I don't know, I prefer safe distancing. But
I
so
like that rhetoric. I like it.
thanks. So that RSVP thing will open up on Mondays, and we're going to ask that people try to let us know by Friday of each week. So basically, you'll get the newsletter each week, and then RSVP, tell us you're coming. And that way, on Friday night or Saturday, we'll send out an email with like the specifics of that next week. And that way we can have a sense of who's coming and how to make it safe. Do you want to talk through the online community a little bit? Anything there? I think we kind of touched on that, but.
Yeah, pretty much what we will be doing is having a hybrid service. So while we're doing everything in person, you will be able to watch everything happening via StreamYard. The chat will still be open, will still be active, and we will do our best to integrate comments and or questions from the online community to engage with us in person, vice versa. That said, this is a learning curve for everybody. There is some technological skill sets that we will have to kind of experiment with before it's seamless. But all in all, the hope is still to have everybody, whether in person or from a distance, from the OakLife community, to be able to engage together.
Yeah, I was updating the ticker thing just to make it clear that if you have questions now, you can ask us. But did you? So I wasn't totally listening. Did you say talk about how we're gonna have like try to do comments and stuff during the service?
Yeah. Pay attention, Chris. Pay attention,
Sorry.
Chris. One thing I didn't get to was the 10 a.m. So if you haven't been with us at OakLife, we're kind of how do I say this? We've assimilated to the Bay Area culture of running a little bit behind. So we usually start a little after 10. So in effort to make sure there's no dead time online, but to adhere to the vibe in person, the only difference for the StreamYard individuals is that we'll be starting at 10:10 rather than 10 a.m. So just log on 10 minutes later, gives you a little more time at 10 to grab your elements and all that good stuff. But yeah, we'll be starting a little later for the online community.
Cool. Hey, you're going to hate this, Greg, but that crackle came back. I don't know if it's worth putting on.
Nothing I can do about it, fam, at this point.
Okay. No headphones. That won't work? No? Bummer. Okay. Well, let's keep going. I'll talk through childcare stuff. Maybe as it weirdly appeared, it'll weirdly disappear. So childcare. Oh, and one thing to say, this initial plan is like kind of a trial basis. We're saying this is a 6-month plan. But if like health guidelines change, we can change stuff. If it feels very safe and general numbers in our community are really low, maybe we'll open it up even more and so forth. But there will be childcare every other Sunday at first. So that's a way for us to be able to like rebuild a volunteer base. Like over the last year and a half, we haven't had childcare. So finding folks who are comfortable doing this again is going to take some time. And also we want to provide space for both families who are comfortable with their kids in person, right? Because a lot of our children, especially 12 and under, can't get vaccinated yet. And so there will be a childcare space every first and third Sunday. And we're again asking you to RSVP. It'll be in the same form. You tell us if your kids are coming. And simultaneously, we will also be doing a once a month outdoor hangout for families at a park. There's a really cool park kind of on the border of Piedmont and Oakland that we'll be meeting up at. And that's the first one of that is on the 17th. And then, Greg, I can keep talking if you want me to, or I'll keep going through a little bit more. Can you scroll down? There will be some other gatherings, like we're doing this picnic next week. So there'll be lots of other spaces. If for some reason you're not quite comfortable doing it in person yet, totally cool. There'll be other things we're trying to do to hold that community together. Now, here are the measures that we're taking for in-person gatherings. First, we've already talked about asking everybody to RSVP to let us know they're coming. Part of that RSVP form will be like an agreement to wear a mask and to be respectful. Second, we're asking that all who come in person are vaccinated and be able to show proof of vaccination. We took a big survey from our church, and we actually have 100% vaccination rate amongst those who responded. Part of this is best practice, but also part of this is our hosts at the new Parkway. They are asking, this is their policy that we're kind of folding into. So even to be able to rent the theater, we have to have all who can get vaccinated to show be able to show proof of vaccination. The exception being with kids. And that's kind of common practice with daycares and schools and so forth. We're asking that everybody wear a mask for the entirety of the service. That includes folks up front. And maybe this can change as we get further down the road with the pandemic and it starts to get better, hopefully. And we can maybe have more spaciousness with that, but at least at first, everyone's got to wear a mask. We're capping it at 70 people. Our attendance historically, just for record, like on Easter, we get like 120 people. And so most Sundays, we probably were around 70 people. It's kind of an average Sunday. But what we're hoping this does is it makes it a little bit more intentional. So you can RSVP ahead of time. We can know this will allow us to, again, have safe distancing. This number could change if like 3 weeks in, we're like, okay, it seems like 70, we can probably add 20 people, especially if there's high demand. But it's just kind of a best practice right now to maintain distance. And we'll still be doing online. So one thing we will say is if you are coming every week and we are like capping at 70 and people are on like a wait list, we might say like, hey, come every other week, at least at first, as we ease back into in-person. We're still going to have service structure pretty similar. So couch conversations are still going to go on. We'll be asking that it's with the people you came with or at like a safe distance with like people across a little walkway. The big thing is we don't want people coming up and like getting in each other's spaces. And with that, you can also talk to people in the online community. I think it's a great thing to stay connected. Like if you are by yourself and not really comfortable like getting in people's spaces, but want to be there in person, you can talk to people online. And then this is a big one. This will be, I don't know, this probably isn't the right order of things because we should have done it like, as you walk in, you'll get this, and then this will happen. But one of the things we're going to do is a sticker system, which we did at our outdoor in-person gathering. And this is a way for us to like kind of bypass the awkwardness of like, I want to give this person a hug. Do you think they're comfortable with that? Do I stay away? What do I do? So as you walk in the lobby of the Parkway, there'll be stickers, green, yellow, and red, each one signaling your comfort level with physical contact and people being close to you. Green means you're okay with getting hugs and giving hugs and of course still be, respectful and not weird, but you're comfortable with that. Yellow is okay to be kind of close, and maybe there's some elbows happening, but generally no touching. Red is I'd really, really like to keep 6 feet away. So my sticker's red, and this worked really well at the in-person gathering outdoors, and at some other things I've done at our friends' churches and at Bethel and various spaces. We will be. How's your mic? Do you want me to test you, Greg, to see if you want to?
Yeah, what does it sound like?
Sounds good. Yeah, I want to take the disclaimers, communion, that sort of thing. Or are there any questions? Should we stop?
You said what?
Should we stop? Are there any questions? Do you have any questions? Are we good so far?
No, we're totally good. As you were talking about the stickers, I was wondering if we should have like seating areas designated for the sticker. Like if you're gonna sit up front, here's the areas, but if you want to sit kind of higher up, like feel free to do what you want. I don't know. I don't think assigned seating is ever a good practice, but that was a question that just came up while
that's a good
while
thought.
you was reading that. Because it's one thing to be meeting in person outside where there is no seating at all. It's another thing when there are seats assigned. So just thinking that through.
Yeah,
more
good.
Details to come. Speaking of details, the disclaimers and the rules as far as what would you say? Safe distancing and service practices and any updates. We'll be experimenting with where we have communion laid out, and all of those insights will be shared throughout service, whether it's the individual with announcements hosting, whether it's whoever's leading the conversation, whether it's the music team. We'll all be keeping you in the loop. Again, communion, as I mentioned, will be initially moved to the end of service, kind of as a benediction to go out and practice the communion in a safe way so that we can keep the masks on, at least until, further green lights as far as being indoors.
Yeah, like that one, right? I don't like that. Like it's a bummer, but because there's something about taking it together. But there's also something beautiful about, at least for a season, we take it out and take it into the world and take it into our lives. And what you just said is I think important. All these things might feel daunting, and these are just ways for us to be as safe as possible for now. And I don't think we'll be doing this forever. Some things you might do and be like, that worked really better. Like that was more spiritually powerful or whatever. But hopefully that'll be a short-term thing. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, totally. That makes sense. I try to look at it as positive as possible. Like, oh yeah, you know, we're being called to action. I love being called to action. Let's go do things, right? So, but to your point, it's nice to share in communion together. That's kind of part of the gifts that we have as a community when we worship in spaces together. Is that so? Speaking of things to be taken away, coffee and snacks in the lobby will be on pause. So for those of you who really look forward to getting your nice cup of Joe in the AM before service, you still can. You just gotta, put it in a thermos and bring it with you, and not drink it while we're in the parkway together. Oh man, good stuff. Services will be integrated with our online community as much as possible, which we've discussed a ton already. Let's see. We will be doing our best on our end as far as the speakers and the singers to practice safety up front. So we will model it as much as encourage it. And yeah, that's it. I think you covered everything else as far as these talking points.
Yeah, maybe the one, if there is an exposure, like if like we have church on Sunday and then Tuesday comes around and somebody says, oh my gosh, I tested positive, or I've got symptoms and going to get tested, because part of the reason we're doing an RSVP system is we can notify people should that happen. And we'll be asking people to notify us in case that happens. Hopefully that won't. And studies, or what I've seen so far, and studies too, like these measures actually really work. So even if there is, hopefully it doesn't happen, but if there was to be an exposure, it's still very unlikely to pass it around given all the measures we're taking and that everyone will be vaccinated and stuff. But, this is one of the things that I think we're all wrestling with, is this will be a longer term, you can probably take that down, I guess, like a longer term adjustment to our lives. We think we're all hoping it would have been like a couple months or 6 months or something, but we're gonna have to learn to be community and to learn to practice safety, to learn to find ways to be together and live with this thing. I think eventually, kind of like we deal with the flu or other illnesses, or those of us who have chronic health issues, like it becomes a part of your life and you learn to live and get the best out of it as you can. And so all these things we can adjust as we need to. And should numbers flare up or local health officials say we shouldn't have in-person gatherings because there's an outbreak right now, we can either go back online or go in person to Heist, or in person outdoors. Part of the reason we didn't do that, I had a couple of people ask that question. Part of the reason we didn't do that is because it's like the weather stuff is out of our control. Like the Saturday before we did our outdoor in-person thing at Heist, the AQI was like 200, and it's not safe. Like I don't want to bring my kids to that. I get like sore throat and itchy when it's like above 150. And soon we'll be approaching winter. So this is kind of like, let's figure what this looks like long-term and sustainably. I think it's been the goal all along to go back to in-person, but yeah, man, it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. It's not going to be boring. And I hope that this is a chance for us to grow and learn as a community. We're all probably at different levels of comfort. Some of us, I know there's people who are like itching. Based on the surveys, people were like, hey, we should have been doing this a while ago. Like it's overdue, especially now that vaccines are there and chances of severe illness and death are greatly reduced. We can now do this, not without risk. Life has risk to it. But yeah, I think that's my soapbox. That's the end of it. Yeah. And if you do have questions, that plan is all right there in person, oaklifechurch.com/in-person. There's a question slot there and it lists it all out. And yeah, I think that's about it. So we have 2 more weeks of this. Is that right? 3 more weeks. You're speaking this week. Yeah. 3 more weeks on Sunday mornings of StreamYard. And then we'll be doing our first one there.
Crazy. Very excited. Very excited.
Does it feel like it's
kind of
been
weird, but very excited?
Like it'll be like 19 months. Like it'll be 19 or 20 months since we've had a in person at the Parkway. Does it feel like it's been that long?
Man, what is time? Man, because like you think about how long we've not been in the Parkway, but then you think about we've been doing OakLife for going on our 7th year, and you just start thinking about like all the things that have happened, all the things that we have wanted to happen, maybe the things that we didn't anticipate. It's what is this experiment, this simulation we're all in? It's crazy, but it's fun nonetheless, and I'm excited to keep going and see what's around the corner.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
me too. There's a lot of unknowns. It's hard to plan ahead. Like, just we put a lot of work into even this plan and figuring out what to do. But like, we're like, okay, who do we book to speak? Where are we going to be in November? Like, there's just this huge door that we have to walk through, and we don't know exactly what's behind it.
Yeah,
and that's life. But the good news is, like, I was about to drop a S word. Holy smokes. God has like been with us this whole time. Like,
yeah,
I would not have guessed that nobody would have guessed any of this stuff, but just thinking through the lens of the church, like, what a beautiful community that's held together and like met this disruption with love and solidarity and all that. So I'm excited to keep that going. I'm excited to sing in person, even if it's masked.
I'm gonna have to really project. I have to work on my, my core muscles or something.
Me too. I don't have a big voice. Thankfully, we'll have microphones, but yeah, I'm gonna show my guess the whole time.
Yeah, we should start a GoFundMe. We should get those clear masks that have like little speakers outside to project the voice. They have those, man. Yeah,
that sounds cool.
Yeah. Every problem provides capitalism an opportunity to grow. So they're out there, man. They are out there. But anyway, I don't want to spend time talking about that. I'd rather continue talking about how dope the OakLife community has been throughout all of this. And just super juiced to see everyone just together again. Man, that's stuff that gets you here and here, sometimes here, gets you, man. So I'm ready for it.
Well, it's good. I got to tap out childcare here in a minute, but love you all. Thanks for hanging in there. And if you have any questions, let us know. It's going to be fun.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let us know. We love y'all, OakLife. Continue to live, love, fight, and follow, and we'll catch you Sunday.
I ain't got a hope.